Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wempi Sisilia Huda. I'm from English Department Education 2017. In this section, I want to explain about some example from some sociolinguistic section. So, in the linguistic section, some example for this. Number one, this is internal variation. So, this variation chosen in the application of the language is influenced by the area, age, gender, or social. And the first, phonological variation. The phonological of variation is differences related to speaking sound chosen by the area of origin or home country. For example is in the Indonesian language, we make a legenda, but in the English language they are make a legenda. So in the two difference, we in Indonesia G, but in the English language they are make a G. Okay, in the second is morphological variation. The morphological of variation is a differences in the application of the word's structure due to regional differences. So for the example, in Javanese language, we make a mangan, but in the Indonesia language they are make a makan, but in the two word this is same is a makan. Okay, in the third is syntactic variation. The syntactic of variation is differences in grammar or grammar rules used by the country of origin of the speaker. So, in the example, in the Indonesian language, we we make a mari kita bermain bersama. But in the English language, they are make a grammar. Grammar is a rule. For the example, what do you want to play with me? So in the four, semantic variation. The semantic of variation is differences in the meaning contained in one word or caused by differences in the region of the country and the environment. So in the example is in Indonesia language is calendar, but in the Javanese language is tanggalan. So in the next sociolinguistic section, any external variation. Language variation is the diversity of language caused by the existence of social interaction activities. So in the external variation, any dialect boundary or line representing a set of isoglots with the use of separating one dialect area from another. So for the example, any two area in the Banyumas, the R make a word langka, but in the Java, they are make two word ora ono. But in the two word, this is same meaning. This is tidak ada or nothing. The second, this is dialect continuum. The farther the dialect area propagates, the more difficult it will to be understood and the spread from its variation point of origin waves. So for the example is, so with the meaning of language propagation itself is Maduris settled in Malang and they bring their language influence to local people. Then from the local people who entirely could not speak Madura, for offer the language of Madura too. In the third is accent. So accent, how to use what the curves that are unique to each person. For the example, Surabaya people with the Malang people. In the Surabaya themselves, when talking, they will not be slow or a little toothly, different from Malang people talking a little smooth. In the fourth is idiolect. So idiolect, the meaning of dialect itself is a person's unique way of speaking, such as adding letter to words. And the example is addition of word or letter in the word. So for the example, in the Japanese language is yo, ngai. In the fourth is socialect, the variety of language associated with social class or community groups. For the example is my friend from Nusa Tenggara Timur, they are can be speak many language. For the example, language English language, Java language, Indonesian language, and another. Okay, and then language is product while culture is the parents of language, and culture greatly influence the language because he is a communication tool. In the first, taboo, something that must be avoided or prohibited from being used in word in society, but in a very different area. For the example is like cow word. The word cow cannot be said in the entity area because it means very badly. But in the Indonesian itself, in the western part, cow say it is good. In the second is swearing. Swearing is a course of words that are considered impolite to say. For the example, like muttering to yourself, and then with cursing word in joking like your. For the example in the Java language is matamu. In the third is vulgar, a social variation that use the language used by people who are less educated tend to speak directly without thinking twice, including religious blasphemy or grapes accompanied by body gesture. For the example is include religious blasphemy or deep swearing accompanied by body gesture. In the fourth, any euphemism or something word from verbalized word. So, in the analysis from short film, I choose a Nobita. So, from the short film that have been served, there are several cooperative principles, such as maxim and implicator. In the maxim themselves, there are several, such as quantity, relation, manner, and quality. The violation of maxim of cooperative principle in communication, sometimes we find a gap of presupposition between speaker and hearer. For the example, in number one is quantity. In the conversation between Nobita and Doraemon, this is any you can according to books to buy castle. And in the number two is relation. In the conversation between mom and dad in the Nobita. They are dad, mom, your problem. I have so bad. In the number three is manner. Is in the manner for the dad Nobita is which one? In the last quality in the conversation between mom, dad, Doraemon, and Nobita, and exactly what this is his place will more the charming baby. In the implicator self, a general conversation implication, this meaning is hidden meaning. For the example, mom and dad conversation. In the mom, I'm afraid we'll lose the bet on that new house. And answer by dad is, that's disappointed. I suppose we'll have to look in a different area. Okay, and then this is a analysis from the video debate. And the analysis video debate is American. They are impediments in the debate video, like there is a positive page in the section between Mr. Trump and Mr. Joe. So in the Mr. Joe said, will you shut up, man? It is not very secretive, said Pin. In the any positive politeness, there is a weight. This is not about his family or my family, said Pin. Okay, and then is vitality refers to language, the whole variation function, and purpose of vitality, communication related to endangered languages in developed countries. And here are the factor in influence. In the number one is transmission between dynasty, namely the language transmitted from one generation to another. For the example is of reducing religion regional to children. In the second is the number of absolute factors such as the Maduris and the Medan people worked in Malang with the population of Maduris more than Medan people did not rule out the possible of Madura, which was faster than Medan people. And the third, the proportion of speakers in total population is a certain amount related to population data where groups can refer and to ethnic, religions, and population that have been identified by the speaker community. Or the extinction of some language. In the language of Javanese, kromo is now a little difficult to find among your people. In the fourth is responding to realms and new media such as patents. Daily life cannot be changed, so even though there is a relationship of association which is more trending or modern, but and the sixth, language for literature, language education such as Javanese. And the seventh, Indonesian states have a variety of language but in the language interaction. And the eighth, Javanese people use their language when talking to fellow Java. In the final is the 9, the number and quality of language documentation of when in a collection or forum they often use their language without saying someone who is